Hello and welcome to Strive Defense Talent. I'm your host, Brigadier Rakesh Bhatia, and today I have two very distinguished guests with me, Major General Ajay Chaturvedi and Major General Harsha Kakkar. Sir, good evening and
Hello.
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank
Today, if you see the topic, it has been named as Administrative Oversight, Perception and Security. This is with reference to Kashmir religious places debate. At the outset, I would like to inform our viewers that today's discussion is actually not about any faith or any ideology. It is about governance, perception, and more importantly, security of our nation. To give you a very brief background, sir, in the recent days, a routine administrative exercise was being carried out in Jammu and Kashmir that was documentation and verification of certain religious institutions. Now, this triggered a very strong reaction. What stands out is not what happened on the ground, but how quickly it reframed the public discourse. In today's episode, we will have a look at how administrative action they became perception flashpoints and why that matters in a security sensitive environment that is existing in the state of J&K. To help us unpack this, I have the two journals, sir. Sir, to set the things in perception, I will first request General Harsha Kakkar that before we analyze the narratives and reactions, so let's separate the facts from assumptions. So can you briefly explain what this administrative exercise was all about? What did it involve? And more importantly, what it did not involve in and what has been made out to be. First of all, General Kakkar, followed by General Chaturvedi. Over to General Kakkar, sir.
See, in January this year, the J&K police launched a campaign basically to verify the identity, the ideology, and the financing of the mosques. It was basically to curb exactly what you said, white collar terror modules, which is exactly what happened when we were looking at the blast which happened near the Red Fort just about very recently. And you see, also there has been a perception shift, especially after, it's been a very positive shift after Pahalgam, when you notice that the clergy has been coming out against terrorism. So there have been two different incidents that have happened. What has been of concern is that if you look historically in J&K from 1990 onwards, you would find that a lot of radicalization has flown from here. You would find a lot of speeches that are coming out forcing youth or trying to push youth towards radicalization. There has been an exploitation of religious institutions by the terrorists. And I would say that it is not exactly basically a religion, but there is a reason or there is a need for the government in today's date to look at all religious institutions, the source of funding, the manner in which they function. After all, these are what the local, we Indians believe in, we have faith in, and they need to work towards a central theme. What do you feel about it, Sir Chaturvedi, sir?
Yes, of course. If you notice, Harsh, our constitution in that 42nd Amendment has secularism has been inserted as the kind of a directive principle of our in our preamble. It has been added, and Article 28th of the Constitution also guarantees the right of freedom of religious practices. So therefore, but at the same time, if you notice, all these things and this 1863 Act, which very clearly says that you can do everything, but you can't use uh, religious places to perpetuate your political philosophy. And in this particular case, which has kind of a um, catalyzed the current action of state of Jammu and Kashmir, the most important thing is the capture of that Irfan Ahmed Wage from Shopian, who's a Maulvi, who was a health worker and also a cleric. And he was using his position to kind of radicalize. And some of those doctors of the of Kashmiri origin were radicalized by this gentleman, and that is why it's an exercise. But people who are enemy to say inimical to our nation, they try to project it as something else, that only one religion is being profiled, and basically they are using it to settle a narrative which will be part of their cognitive warfare, and which needs to be contested. Over to you.
I agree with you on this, sir. And before I again get into a discussion with Brigadier Bhatia, you know, at some stage it was taken a little bit far. That was when the police started calling the press people and started, getting them to sign letters. I think that was taking it and giving it more of a context, which was working in favor of those who wanted to push this narrative that you're talking about, the cognitive warfare, the building of an anti India narrative in the valley per se. But let's look at it this way: everywhere, sir, there are bodies that run religious institutions. And the bodies that run religious institutions invariably, especially the bigger religious institutions, have representatives from the government. They're monitored to some extent by the government. And I think the intention again is to ensure that they are not exploited for non religious purposes. And,
Absolutely right.
and that is exactly what the intent has been here. It has not been to exploit it has not been
Sir,
to pressurize. But then when you look at it, sir, if you're looking at religious institutions, monitoring of them is a global phenomenon. Whether it's France, whether it's China, whether it's Pakistan, whether it's the UAE, all across, there is always an intent to monitor these institutions, to ensure that they are not exploited, to ensure that what is being taught and what is being preached is not towards moving people away from religion towards radicalization, because no nation is looking for it. You want
sir,
people to
while
follow.
while we are discussing this, I will flash the slides. What are the regulations, especially in the countries where Islam is the dominating religion, sir? Sir, please continue with your discussion. This was for the information of the viewers.
See, ye aapka hai. But if you look at it, whether it's even countries like France, they're also doing it. So why are we only looking at, just about these nations? China is doing it. The aim is not anything else. The aim is to ensure that we use institutions for which they have been created. The aim is not to use institutions against the purposes for which they are created. Now, to politically exploit it, I think would be wrong. If you look at it down south, where you have the Tirupati Mandir and the others, all of them are governed by bodies which have state representatives. I mean, it is a system by which you ensure that the earnings there, the facilities that are provided to people coming. You look at, I mean, whether you're looking at Vaishno Devi, for example, again,
Correct.
these are all monitored. These are all kept under monitoring by the state only to ensure that they don't get exploited. They're not, I mean, the people who come there to offer obsequies are not mistreated or are not, forced to sort of move away from there because of the way in which they are run or conducted. So I guess, I mean, nobody is claiming that then this is an illegal act. And here the aim is to check who's funding it, where have the imams come from, because the experience of earlier imams in the 90s was not very positive. If you look at what happened, today is the 21st of Jan, 19th of Jan, 30 years ago, what happened? Where were the calls from? Where did the radicalization take off from? So naturally, you don't want such things to be repeated. That is exactly what the government is trying to do. It is not curbing. It is not saying shut down. It is just keeping an eye. And I think keeping an eye even benefits the locals. That's what I feel.
Sir, quick word from you, Jan Chaturvedi, sir.
Yeah, two, three things. Let's see. These religious institutions of different faiths, they attract a lot of say devotees, and devotees come with a lot of money, and they in the form of offerings, they contribute a lot of money to these places. So some forces which are not even religious in the sense, they may create their own institution and start collecting money, and they start misusing it. That is one part of it. Second is legacy issues. Say things like before this Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam or Vaishno Mata Shrine Board were formed and all those things, there were, say, legacy priests, they were collecting money and they were misusing all this money. Even before 1925, Sikh Gurdwaras had the same kind of a thing. So therefore, land to be properly used, money collected to be used. If you look at the kind of good work which Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam or Vaishnav Mata Shrine Board has done it, one must say applaud them. That money has been used for local
Even the
development.
Golden Temple, sir. I mean,
Golden
even
Temple,
if you look at the Golden Temple or the other Gurdwaras, they've done a lot of good work around.
good work is being done in the name of natural calamities, otherwise education and all those things. So therefore, my sense is that regulation is very essential to kind of ensure that money utilized is properly. Second thing is that not unregistered, that encroachment, that the number of religious places we come across, that something is made and then it is declared that this is religious place and don't touch it. And I'll share one experience. In 1976, we were doing some say improvement in Agra as a part of local development. Suddenly what happened, that one day we were trying to skirt around all the religious places which are along Yamuna River. So next day we found on every house it was written, ये मंदिर है, ये गुरुद्वारा है, ये मस्जिद है, इसे कृपया डिस्टर्ब ना करें. Now this the kind, to check these kind of practices, regulation and control is essential. And therefore, if you notice, it is not that it is a mass thing is being done. Every state, most of the state have got, say, Hindu Endowment Board also, where these things are, say, some kind of a control and regulation is exercised. So therefore, my sense is that it should not be used as to create a narrative that Muslims are being targeted or they are being profiled. This is what my sense is, that excise in Kashmir, some, I mean, as Harsh very rightly said, in late 80s and early 90s, all the calls were coming from a particular place or something, and which resulted into exodus of Kashmiri Pandits from valley. And similar thing happened
Sir, with
this
whatever
entire.
the two, sir, with
Yeah, yeah.
sir, with whatever we have discussed, sir, my next question to both of you is, sir, that this is a routine nature of the step. Why the reaction is so immediate and intense, sir? Like I keep saying, sir, are we confused? Is Kashmir a territorial war? Is it a strategically important war? Or has it moved out of all this and become a media war? Why are we permitting it for the common? I mean, I have seen so many channels talking about it. Why it is being shown as a, and that is why I had given a sort of in my introduction, I said that today we are not discussing against ideology or any faith or anything. It's matter of administration, sir. So why does it become so that from a administrative action, it has taken the shape of a cognitive warfare, attacking the minds of common man?
See, basically, what appears to be is the state has taken an action to prevent something from happening in the future. Now, for political parties that are down and out, what is the best option? Rake everything possible that is happening, including the fact that Farooq Abdullah ran the Mumbai Marathon became a political issue in Kashmir. For them, everything is now becoming a political issue that if he has time to run the Mumbai Marathon, why doesn't he have time to do governance? Now, see, everything and anything is becoming a political issue. Yes, the problem was the police action in calling reporters, asking them to sign, actually gave the politicians an incentive that, look, this is being done to suppress the free voice or to suppress freedom of the press. I think that was possibly an initiative by one or two police people at some lower level, which actually added on. But their intent may have been that, you see, whatever you write, you have to look at it this way. You showed the slide, Rakesh, of what happens in
Sir,
Pakistan as far as monitoring of mosques is concerned. Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Pakistan issued a statement against this. They are doing the same. That is acceptable. But for the common person in J&K, who is still getting swayed by the Pak media or narrative, this complaint by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Pakistan, supported by the politicians in J&K, will definitely carry a meaning. And that is the sad part, that these people play political games to divide the population rather than look at uniting the population. And
sir,
that is a sad part.
what you saying? Shall I say that this was a wrong choices? Sir, I'll just come to you. In fact, this question is for you only, sir, with reference to what General Kakkad has said. Is it, sir, the language used? It was, like I said, I've been saying that it was an administrative step. Instead of that, we started using terms like profiling, targeting. Uh, these sort of thing was not the intent. So the intent has been twisted in such a way by the people who are, involved in perception management on the wrong side. Is it the language and not the intent which is the problem, sir?
Uh, Rakesh, let's step back a bit.
Sir,
India, when we became independent, we decided that we'll be a secular country and our diversity will be our strength. Diversity of language, diversity of say religion, diversity of ethnicity, all three. Now, what happened? The successive wars proved that whenever there was a national crisis, India was together. Now, and we kept growing. Today, we are the fastest growing economy. People have started feeling that many of the big powers have started feeling uncomfortable with our growth. Now, this is where a narrative started being built that the current government is a left-wing government. It's a, like, if you see Western press, Hindu revivalist government. They keep saying Hindu revivalist government. Now, for any of the action of government of India, can India take, which is not constitutional? We have got, as I mentioned, Article 28, where religious freedom is enshrined. Where when we say 1863 that accept political use, philosophy is not to be, say somebody wants to perpetuate his philosophy, he is quite free to do it. Now, with all these things, there are forces inimical to India who are trying to do it. Now, let's come back to our own country. Now, political parties, as Harsh very rightly said, that they want to find a meaning to them. A पुलिस, लुक एट, एक पुलिस वाले को आप देखिए, वो चाहता है कि उसकी बीट में कोई दंगा फसाद ना हो, कोई टेररिस्ट ना पकड़ा जाए, कोई टेररिस्ट का एक्ट ना हो, लोगों की जान और माल की हिफाजत हो. दिस व्हाट हिज एम इज. सो पुलिस ने अपना देखना शुरू किया कि भाई इमाम साहब क्या कर रहे हैं, इमाम साहब क्या कर रहे हैं, वहां क्या भाषण दिए जा रहे हैं, आपकी सोर्स ऑफ रेवेन्यू क्या है, क्योंकि वहां बहुत सारे ऐसे, देयर आर रिलीजियस प्लेसेस व्हिच आर गेटिंग फॉरेन फंड्स एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स. So the NIA has captured a lot of these things. So therefore, this is what, उसका एक छोटे एक्शन को जब आप बोल रहे हो प्रोफाइलिंग, टारगेटिंग, ये पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज कर रही हैं, क्योंकि वो एक अपना नैरेटिव बनाना चाहती हैं, क्योंकि वही उनकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी है. उनकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी ये नहीं है कि हम एक ऐसा देश बनाए जहां के सब लोग एक साथ हों. नाउ इफ दैट बी द केस, हाउ विल दे फाइंड इट? They will do like this. It is the irresponsible media in our country which starts playing them up. 9/11 के बाद क्या अमेरिका में अगले 2-3 साल तक किसी ने कोई चूं भी की थी? किसी ने नहीं कुछ किया, क्योंकि वो नेशनल एक कॉज था कि भाई इसमें हमें सोसाइटी को डिवाइड नहीं होने देना है. That is the kind of thing which is required in India, that a more responsible press, more responsible political parties, especially local say people who are jo parties which have got the regional aspirations, so they need to do it. Now as far as Kashmir आपने बोला, जैसे कि आपने भी बोला, हर्ष ने भी बोला, कि एक incipient एक फीलिंग एक उनको दे दी गई है कि भाई आप प्रिविलेज रहो. वो प्रिविलेज अब उनका चला गया, उसको एक पूरी जनरेशन लगेगी उनके दिमाग से निकालने में, क्योंकि यही तो कॉग्निटिव वॉरफेयर है कि आपको बिल्कुल नैरो कन्फाइन में ले आते हैं. And this is what foreign forces are trying to do, and we are playing into their hands. This is what my sense would be.
Sir, your views, sir.
I agree fully with them. You see what I mean? The way things are moving now, you just did a simple administrative check to see what it is, and you look at the political reaction, you look at the media reaction, and who fuels it? You find Pakistan fueling it. I'm surprised till now Turkey hasn't issued a statement, otherwise that should have also come by now. Right? And I'm very happy that Mohammed Yunus is still sleeping on elections, otherwise he would have also jumped into this. But I mean, the thing is, you are just doing a normal check to know where funds are coming from. That the imams there, if you remember, there was a time when it was all headed by Deobandi imams, when things had actually gone out of hand.
Yes.
A lot has changed over the years. You don't want the change to reverse. You will continue doing a regular check, whether people like it or not. You will need to monitor. We monitor in our areas where we are. Where we were deployed, we all monitored what was there in our areas. You maintained a contact with people there who were the imams and the rest of them, not out of anything else, but out of a contact, out of understanding. You functioned as a team. You tried to ensure that things did not get out of hand. And that is something which even the police is going to do now. So what are you doing so different? I mean, I know General Chaturvedi would stand out wherever we were deployed. There was no place that we didn't know, we didn't visit. And there was none of them that we were not in touch with. And what was the aim? The aim was to try and bridge the gap. The aim was
Absolutely.
to try and help support where required.
President of Northern Command does not need any kind of validation from us. He
So,
knows everything about it.
so that is what it is. So now to play on it politically, to take away those, I mean, to try and drill into the minds of the people that you are looking at, segregating or profiling, I think is taking it a bit too far. And the worst part, and that's what I feel very sad about, is our national media playing into it by taking
Yeah.
it up in discussions, by raking it up in the press. Today, that reporter's case from who was called in yesterday to sign that declaration and he did not. It's on front pages in all newspapers
Yeah.
across the country. That itself is a wrong action. I've been saying that from the beginning. That should not have been done. Max, the intent could have been explained. That's it. Or the lieutenant governor or any of his representatives could have gone somewhere and
Correct.
explained the action. That's enough that was to be done. Because the aim is not to profile, the aim is not to segregate, the aim is only to ensure that we don't misguide our youth.
Yeah.
We've
Absolutely.
taken a long time to bring the youth towards the mainstream. Let's keep pulling them towards us. Let's not
So
let them drift away. Let's work as a nation, as a team. Let's move forward. Let's not move back.
yes, sir.
One small thing I would like to add. Uh, Long back, I read somewhere a quote by Socrates he said, "Justice should not only be done; it should appear to have been done." So, therefore, in a say polity like ours, which is so diverse, there is a need where we keep on reiterating time and again that Article 28, and all that is because Registration of Society Act 1860, Trust 1862, then 63, that Religious Act, and all those things should be reiterated. And to my mind, 100% religious institutions should be registered under that. Their funding and all should be scrutinized,
Correct.
irrespective of faith and everything. I mean,
It should be across the country.
across the country. And therefore, the funds which come, how they are utilized. It cannot be utilized I mean, okay. If somebody says कि भाई हिंदू के मंदिर में हिंदू का पैसा आता है, अरे चलो भाई हम हिंदुओं की भलाई के लिए करें, मुस्लिम का पैसा मुस्लिम मस्जिदों में और दरगाहों में आता है, चलो उनकी भलाई के लिए करेंगे, चर्च में गुरुद्वारे में इसी तरीके से। लेकिन क्या है, आप गोल्डन टेम्पल में जाके देखिए, वहां जो पत्थर लगे हुए हैं, ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ सिखों ने दिया, ये
Correct.
देश में लोग बहुत दिल वाले हैं। आप लखनऊ में हमारे जो खमन पीर है, आप रेलवे के पास आप देखिए, उसमें जो लोग जो जाते हैं, उसमें ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ मुस्लिम से जाते हैं। कल्याण शरीफ रुड़की के पास है, कौन जाते हैं? दुनिया भर के लोग जाते हैं। तो माय सेंस इज दैट दिस पैसा शुड बी यूटिलाइज्ड फॉर द वेलफेयर ऑफ लोकल्स, टू improve the civic conditions, and also to check encroachment and misuse of areas. That should be the aim.
So the government actually should be aware that every inch of land, the utilization of that land should be recorded with the government, whether that piece of land is being used by a religious institution or by
Rakesh,
education.
Rakesh, Rakesh, just a sec. Before you go on with this, I want to add one line.
So
The land must be legally,
yes,
allocated. It
absolutely
should not be something where suddenly you find a religious structure coming up tomorrow and then
correct.
they say you can't do anything about it.
Yes,
That is
agreed.
something which has to be monitored.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
Sir,
case in
taking
point,
it on.
the
No,
case in point is,
it's a very important point you have made, sir.
and case in point
Because
is
you
recent
cannot.
Ramlala Mandir.
Huh,
They made Parliament has made a shrine board, and they are managing the affairs, and everything is well audited. Nobody can check, nobody can question that. So that is what it
no, no.
is.
Government cannot be given a fait accompli, sir. That this exists here and now you have to accept it. I mean that cannot happen. After all, the governance should remain supreme, sir. Sir, with
Yes.
whatever we have discussed, there is another angle we need to talk about, sir. and that is the security perspective. Debates and optics are on one side, but I'll come back to the perception driven narratives, because these perception driven narratives have a operational consequences. From a security perspective, we need to analyze what is the actual cost when routine governance issues like verification of or registration of these mosque, madrasas and religious institution, I will include everything. Now these are reframed as a hostile act of the government,
of the
so
state.
of the states. So the community cooperation which you are expecting, preventive security you are expecting from the society, and intelligence gathering also you are expecting from the same community, with these false narratives that are being created, they go against the state. So this has a serious operational consequences. Sir, your views on this? Jal Kakkar sir, followed by Jal Chaturvedi sir.
See, as far as security aspects are concerned, monitoring, keeping a check, which we would always be doing as far as the security forces are concerned. And you'd be doing it very discreetly, and it's being done wherever you have an area of responsibility. Now, where you're not involved, especially in the interiors of the country or in places where you're not that visible, it becomes the job of the local police. Now, the worst part is whatever the police does gets over visible. And when it gets visible, it gets twisted. A narrative like this or a message like this across the country, I think, is the right step, because we need to be very clear all across. Whether it's happening in one part, whether it's happening in another, whether it's happening with one religion or it's happening with the other, is irrespective. You have to realize that these places have for a long time been considered that they are sacrosanct, that nobody else can enter. If you recollect, in the operations that were involved against religious institutions when terrorists were hiding inside, you look at the supreme precautions that were taken, whether it was the Golden Temple, whether it was those 2 3 shrines in Kashmir, wherever it was, the sort of precautions that you took because you believed in respecting religion, and that is our custom. That is always done. But at the same time, you need to ensure that these incidents don't take off where you have to act. Secondly, there is a need to monitor, because all these institutions, irrespective of religion, have the ability to influence minds of youth. And we want the influence to be positive. We don't want the influence to be negative. And if we want the influence to be positive, then there must be a sort of understanding between the heads, between those who run these institutes, and what the government and the that are responsible. How do you achieve it? It is only by establishing a contact between people responsible for security. In a large extent, it is going to be the local police and these institution heads. I think this should be a perpetual ongoing exercise, and I think it should be open for all religious institutions rather than narrowing it down or even believing it's being narrowed down. I think that should be the right step.
Sir,
Yeah, what Harsha said is a very valid point, that that is state's responsibility, and how they continue with they engage in dialogue with the say agencies which are managing them. But I would raise another question. Post this Delhi blast in November, one thing is which emerges very clearly, that accountability of society itself, because certain answers society itself should do. So my sense is that every society, every religious denomination, the society needs to needs to engage themselves that their religious places are not misused. If you notice what happened in 80s with the religious places of Sikhs, what happened in the 90s in the religious places of in Islam in Kashmir, what happened with the religious places in some other places. So my
Northeast,
sense
sir.
is that Northeast. So therefore, there is a need for society to respond all these things, and there has to be accountability
Sir,
of.
I would like to add here, sir, today in Nagaland, especially in Nagaland, even in Manipur, the society has the biggest say in the things the way it is happening, because they say whether
Mothers
it is,
organization and all those things.
yes,
Mothers
sir,
organization and all those
mothers,
things.
Mira Paibis, the mother
No,
organization, they
but
are the
even
ones
the
who are
churches, see,
churches.
even the churches in the Northeast, they
Yes,
have
Yes,
a major say in the
that is
way you
exactly what.
influence the youth, which is why
yes,
I've been insisting that religious institutions are places where youth can be influenced in the right way or in the wrong way.
correct, sir.
What we need to do is ensure through contact, through checks, through balances, that you don't move the youth in the wrong way, because it's the youth who suffers at the end of the day. You
So
don't
that
want
is
the
where.
youth to suffer. You are looking for the youth to move in the right direction and succeed. So that is what is important.
So that is why the regulation, as we discussed in the beginning itself, that we need to say the steps which I recommend. One, that we must have reiteration from time to time, Article 28, and all those acts which have been there. Even in a Hindu's case, those endowment act of various states, and those Devasthanam boards, which is there. Say, Kerala has got Devasthanam board, or Badrinath Shrine board is there. So all these, they should be incorporated into it. Third thing is that state local authorities should have more than one channel. One is channel is with the agency which is running the institution. Also, they should have pulse on the ground. We are talking to people and all those things. So things like this, say what happened in Sambal or something, should not have happened. And most important thing, these religious leaders, because India is a very religiosity is a very high index, very high. Say what happened in Magh Mela recently or something. This kind of a thing, this kind of a irresponsible, or somebody, Babaji in Haridwar, the Dharm Sansad, or somebody saying that treat others as a terrorist or something. So this kind of a statement, law should be equal for everyone, whether it's a religious teacher, because you can't say कि हम तो संत बाबा हैं, हम तो इमाम हैं, हमारे तो रिलीजियस लोग हैं, तो हमें कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए. कुछ नहीं. इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हैज टू रीन सुप्रीम. आप कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अंदर में अगर आप काम करोगे तो ठीक है, खुश रहोगे. नहीं तो आपकी जगह कहाँ है आपको पता होना चाहिए.
Absolutely, sir.
I think well summed up.
Very well summed up, sir. Sir, now can we take the questions, sir?
Please.
I mean, we have a ज्ञानी like Harsh sitting here, और फिर तुम क्वेश्चन नहीं लोगे तो कैसे काम चलेगा?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Colonel Siddharth said, sir, calling it radicalization is the error in identifying the issue. What is radicalization for the world is in reality the following, the teaching of their religious. This cannot be stopped.
See, radicalization is taking it to an extreme. The following tells
Sir,
you the all religious book tells you to go through a process.
correct,
The
sir.
way you look at the offerings, the way you look at your life. Radicalization is actually taking it to an extreme where it's telling you that this is what it is. I mean, when you have people trying and telling, like trying and sort of pushing people into terrorists or suicide bombers, claiming you'll get this, you'll get that. They're telling the others, why aren't they doing it themselves if these are the rewards in life? So, I mean, it is basically trying to change the mind of the youth to an extreme, and I think that is wrong.
But
What do you say, sir?
I'll add a couple of things on this. I'll give you an example. You know, they say there is a somewhere I read that Prophet be peace upon him, he was going in one of the campaign. So when he was mounting his horse, his head was slightly ahead. So somebody put a who was not a Muslim at that point in time. He put his sword on his neck and he says, "I'll chop it off unless you explain me Islam in the smallest possible terms, and I should get convinced." So he used the term ibadate makhluk. That means anything living to be worshipped. Now, what is Islam? Musalman means musalsal iman. What is jihad? Jihad is fighting against the darkness. What we are saying, Gayatri Mantra. When you say you pray to sun, and then you want it to be that your soul should be cleansed. When you say ekam sat vipraha bauddha vadanti, when Christianity says that there's only one God, and love and compassion is the essence of Christianity. So therefore, radicalization is taking it extreme. When you say jihad-e akbari, that means environment friendly. When you say jihad-e asgari, so you say कि भाई सबको मार दो भाई जो नहीं है. अरे कैसे, ये कौन सा भाई, कहाँ से ये रिलीजन, ये जो है कि तुम जाओगे तो तुम जिहाद करोगे तो तुम्हें सवाब मिलेगा. Sorry, this does not work. Hindu also, if somebody says that अगर आपने जय श्री राम नहीं बोला तो आप मार दिए जाओगे, ये कहाँ का भाई, ये कौन सा रिलीजन में कहाँ सिखाया जाता है? हमारे यहाँ तो कहते हैं आपको अपने फेथ अपनी प्रैक्टिस करो, हम अपनी फेथ अपनी प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. दिस इज व्हाट द एसेंस ऑफ. एंड इन आवर केस we have to, if it is not, even if it is not there, I'm saying we need to create a India where these things are there. So वहां पे ये सब चीजें नहीं चलनी चाहिए कि नहीं जी हम तो अपने मानते हैं, क्योंकि जो रेडिकलाइजेशन वहां से होता है कि जो मैं कर रहा हूं सही है, तुम कह रहे हो गलत है, वहां से शुरू होता है. तो वो नहीं होना चाहिए, वो बिल्कुल नहीं होना चाहिए. तुम अपनी बात मानो, हम अपनी करेंगे, और हम लोगों को जहां कहीं सवाल होगा, इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, खत्म बात.
Absolutely. So we move on to the next question, sir. Does the mapping drive in J&K represent a necessary security protocol for a border region, or is it a case of political profiling that contradicts the one nation, one constitution ideal?
I think we have discussed this thing. We have already.
हाँ जी sir,
I think we have very in detail. यहीं से तो शुरू हुआ था. इरफान अहमद का ऐसे की वजह से शुरू हुआ है, तो वो मतलब it is nothing. It was an administrative action which has been construed as a political action, which is not true.
But here I would like to ask a question, sir. Sir, we've actually identified one of the major reason why this sort of thing is happening is the irresponsible press which is benefiting the political parties. Now we are a democracy, sir. Do we have to always live with it, sir, or can something be done about it?
मैंने वही बोला है, सोसाइटी, वो पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स को चुप होने की जरूरत है.
But the problem is
चुप होने की जरूरत है. मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया था 9/11 के बाद अमेरिका में कुछ हुआ. 9/11 के बाद 2 साल तक अमेरिका में कुछ हुआ, सब चुप मुंह बंद किए रहे, क्योंकि पहले तो ये है कि जिन्होंने किया है उनको रिलीफ मिले, और जिन्होंने किया वो पकड़े जाएं. तो उसी की वजह से जब ओसामा बिन लादेन को उन्होंने ठोक दिया, तब जाकर के उन्होंने कहा कि अब क्लोजर हुआ है. तो वो जो है, मेरा कहने का मतलब है कि वी मस्ट नॉट get into neither political leaders nor press has to show a little more responsibility.
Because sir, any reform or any correction that we do, अगर मीडिया हाईजैक कर लेगा और इस तरह से नॉन कोऑपरेशन बाय द सोसाइटी विल बिगिन, so how do you take action? There are strict actions which need to be taken in places where the situation is not so good. We have within the hinterland, we have certain states where we need to take strict actions. So how do you control the press? It is doing more damage, whether it is during Op Sindoor or it is during Naxal.
बैठी हुई है भाई, वो प्रेस काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया किस लिए बैठी हुई है? एंड थैंक गॉड हमारे देश में जुडिशरी है. जैसे मैं आपको 2 एग्जांपल देता हूँ. कल वो मदरसे के ऊपर एक डिसीजन आया है कि अगर आप फंडिंग नहीं ले रहे हो तो आप अपनी रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिसेस करते हो, मदरसा, नॉट मॉस्क, मदरसा, मदरसे में आप अपनी रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिसेस को एक्सपाउंड कर सकते हो। तो ये जो है, और ये अपने ऊपर, जैसे कि अभी हुआ वो शाह, दैट मिनिस्टर इन मध्य प्रदेश, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने पूछा भाई उसको अभी तक जेल क्यों नहीं हुई, जिसने सोफिया कुरैशी के बारे में कुछ अनाप शनाप बोला था ना, उसने कहा कि भाई हमने तो माफी मांगी, कर माफी मूफी कुछ नहीं, तुमने जो किया उसका तुमको सजा तो मिलेगी। तो इर्रिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ कास्ट, क्रीड, रिलीजन, पॉलिटिकल एफिलिएशन, लॉ के सामने तो सारे बराबर हैं। थैंक गॉड इंडिया में जुडिशरी है which is still independent and which can take care of these kind of things.
See, and I want to add on to what you said, sir. When you
Ah.
take action like this in a state, it must be explained across the
Yes.
board that this is being done. After all, it takes a press conference, it takes one representative. You will face questions why, how, and what. Answer it. Convey the right message. Do not give political parties who are profiling not mosques, they are profiling their people. They're profiling them to move from one line where they are moving today onto the other only because they want a collection of votes more. They otherwise have no value. But the sad part is for media discussions on TV channels, you need such comments to create a debate to gain some TRPs.
अच्छा,
And
इसमें
that
एक
is why they look for these stupid comments to create debates. उसके political party से एक बुला लिया, एक इधर से बुला लिया, and you create a हंगामा.
एक इसमें एक और सजेशन है कि जब ऐसी कोई एक्टिविटी करते हैं which may be constituted something political which has a implication, मेरे ख्याल में लोकल कमिटीज शुड बी, जैसे पंचायत के अंडर में या इसके अंडर में एक
Definitely.
कमिटी बननी चाहिए। आप देखो
Sir,
इत्तेहाद कमिटीज वगैरह जहां
sir,
बनती हैं कि वहां सारी
नहीं
लड़ाइयां
नहीं
खत्म हो
सर,
जाती
वो छोड़ो. You have already done your BDO election, sorry, your elections at the local level.
हैं। हाँ,
कि पंचायत polls तो हो चुके हैं. They've already been created. Involve them.
यस, एंड
You
दे
have
विल
got
बी।
it.
एंड
आपने
जो आपने ये मीडिया वाला पॉइंट बोला बहुत अच्छा, कि प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करो पहले कि हम ये एक्टिविटी करने जा रहे हैं और हमको सालों
nothing
की
to hide. There's
आई
nothing
थिंक
to hide.
चोरी छुपे क्या करना, चोरी छुपे
हाँ.
नहीं
Because
करना चाहिए।
managing change is itself is a huge exercise.
Sir, you
Any
have to
change that you
beat
want
the
to do, you have
narrative.
to prepare the mind.
You have to beat the narrative. You
That's
come
right.
out with it, you've beaten the narrative. Now you can question the narrative, but you can't turn the narrative.
Correct. Absolutely, sir. I think, sir, with this, I think we've had a very, very fruitful discussion, and it was a pleasure listening to both of you, sir. And thank you very much. And I'll request our viewers to please like, share, and comment. Thank you very much, sir. And Jai Hind, sir.
My thanks to Harsh and you. Wow,
It was
बहुत
amazing and
अच्छा,
interesting discussion.
it's interesting,
Thank you, sir.
engaging discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind, sir. Jai Hind, sir.